Patrick, welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
For having me in the cave, man.
Exciting times, man. The listener viewers are to this interview. They can see you in your latest project. Welcome to Chippendales, man. Right before we got on the air, I was reading a little bit more about it. I mean, there's been some great reviews on this series.
Yeah, it's an amazing show. I'm really happy that it's out and people are getting a chance to see it. I think just the story behind the making of Chippendales is so crazy that I had no clue about it until I had done the project. But now that it's actually out, I think people are starting to realize all of the violence, the racism, the shadiness at play behind this thing that was just so glorified back in its time.
Mm. So yeah, we're gonna dive a little bit more into it in a few minutes. But I was trying to do some research on Patrick also, man. You're pretty new to the industry. I would say a few years in now. What made you get into it?
I've been doing this years, man. I think growing up in LA, just being surrounded by the industry, was just, I don't know, it was always around. But I heard an audition for The Lion King on Broadway, like in Chicago on the radio, and I was like, I want to do that. And then my mom took me to that, and that kind of just like started the whole acting bug. And so then from there, I'd done commercials as a kid, and then around like 15, I really got serious about this and was like, I want to make this a career.
Wow. When you told your parents this is what you want to do, the career and everything, what was their reaction towards it? Did they give you like an ultimatum or anything like that? All right, you can stick with it. If it doesn't
Yeah,
work
kind
out,
of.
you go through a different path.
Kind of. I had convinced my mom to let me go to homeschooling for my junior year to
Okay.
focus on acting. And so she was like, all right, I'll give you 1 year, but you have to book something in that year. And I booked a one-line role on iCarly. And she said that wasn't big enough and that I had to book something more substantial. And I was like, all right, cool. And then like a few months later, I had booked a lead in the Mario Van Peebles movie, We the Party. And she was like, all right, you can do this. Go ahead. Kind
Yeah.
of take the reins now.
What does your mom tell you these days now?
Um, Now it's just what's next. What
Right.
happened to that last audition? Did you book it? Let's go. Yeah, she's super supportive. She's I think she definitely believes now. But yeah, she's always been supportive.
Yeah. You mentioned growing up, you at a young age, you that's where it really pushed you toward this. Now, was there anybody like also like you kind of like not model yourself after, but like watched their work and you kind of like, yeah, this is what I
Yeah,
really want to get into.
as a kid, it was always like Will Smith and Denzel. Like
Okay.
anytime you see them in a movie, it was those were the people we were trying to emulate. And Training Day, I saw that entirely too young,
Oh
but it
yeah.
was one of those movies that definitely inspired me. And I was like, this is what I want to be doing. I remember like I went into my first agent and auditioned with the monologue for V for Vendetta at 15. Like I was
Mm.
always wanting to do bigger, more adult action movies and stuff like that. So
Does Patrick have a dream role that you want to play someday?
yeah, I would love to be a superhero, but I have something of an affinity for villains and like a Marvel villain or like being Batman though. Batman's always been my favorite superhero. But yeah, I think a villain, a love interest, those are things that like I've always wanted to do.
Mm. Now you mentioned action movies too. What kind of action movie would you want to do if you can get your hands on that?
Oh, like the villains, the Marvel villains, that would be amazing. I've always wanted to do like a heist movie though, because like
Okay.
the heist movies usually there's some sort of emotional draw as to why they're robbing whatever they're robbing. It's never just for pure greed. And so just to blend the emotion of that with the bad guy element and then the action that comes along with stealing the crown diamond from the basement floor of the this huge building, like yeah, that just always seems exciting. And I just shot the Equalizer a couple weeks ago, and that was like my first time really doing some action stuff. And I was like, oh, this is where it's at.
So, you mentioned heist movies. I have one on my mind. It's one of my favorites. What's your favorite? Can you think
Ooh,
of one? I want to see if we match.
I love Inside Man actually.
Okay, that's good. I was gonna say
Yeah,
Heat. I like Heat.
Heat is great. Heat is fantastic. Yeah, you can't beat Heat.
In the town.
Oh, cut
The
out there.
town.
Huh? Oh, The Town with Ben Affleck. Yes, yo, that one's crazy though. I haven't seen The Town in a minute. The Town, Den of Thieves, a newer
Yeah,
one. I love that one. There's so many, man.
right. And it's funny because with those type of movies, you don't see them all the time. You see like one or two, and then a few years go by until you see the next one.
I feel like they don't make movies the way they used to anymore. And that's really something I want to see back again. Is like there's never like everything's either super, super massive or super, super indie. And like there's not just
Mm,
like that mid-ground entertainment movie. Just like like we don't have a Die Hard for this generation.
right, right, right.
So it's like, yeah, it's I want to start to bring that back.
So let's jump into your latest project now. Welcome to Chippendales. How were you approached for this role? Tell us about your audition for this.
Auditioning for this was really fun. It was just a two-scene audition, and I tried to do as much research before the audition on Don Gibson as I could, because him
Yeah.
being a person and his involvement in the story of Chippendales, I just wanted to know everything that I could about it. And then after booking it, I actually doubled down on that, went on LinkedIn, found Don, and he was
Okay.
gracious enough to have a Zoom interview with me.
Wow.
And I just got as much information about him, his storyline, what he went through, like through the whole process, kind of further than what the script even details. I really just wanted to know everything. But it was really cool just speaking with him and seeing how much he was doing and how forward thinking he was back in the early 90s. Because by the end of the case, he got Chippendales to do business, like $500,000 of business with Black businesses
Mm.
for their wrongful, like turning people away at the door for racism's cause. And I was like, I think that's so dope that he was implementing things that people are just now starting to think about back in 92, 93.
Right. How accurate was Don Gibson script to the real person after you met him and you talked to him?
I mean, that was my job. I hope he feels it was accurate. But yeah, I think they they gave us a lot of room to improv and to kind of bring what we wanted to the character. They weren't really confined by the lines or sticking to the words. So they gave us a lot of freedom. I really hope that Don really likes the portrayal I had of him. But I felt it was accurate.
So after you read the script before you spoke to Don, like did you have like a way you thought you were going to play him, and then after you talked to him, did you change anything about it?
Yeah, I definitely saw him as this much more kind of reserved, uptight character. And after talking to him, he was like, "No, I love to party." He was like, "I was a law student, but like I wanted to have a good time." They were at Chippendales because they were chasing girls. It was like
Yeah.
he had a very fun, big energy, which was surprising after talking to him. But Don's a cool guy, man.
Mm. What do you think was like the biggest challenge playing Don?
The biggest challenge probably just time period and making sure that I was just getting across what we were trying to convey scene to scene.
Mm.
A lot of it was dealing with racism and discrimination, and so just trying to bring that out without being too obvious or forward about it or making a caricature of the situation. I think just staying grounded in it was probably the biggest focus.
Well, what did you love about this role?
What did I love about it? Being on set with Kumail, just the whole cast, meeting Quentin Player. I think it's such a big ensemble cast, just being around everybody, seeing what everybody else is bringing to it, and probably the ad-libbing, being able to just kind of live freely, moment to moment, scene to scene. That was definitely a plus. You don't get that on every project.
And this character, would you say this character was a little intense also, like to play him?
Yeah, there's next week the court scene episode happens, and that was definitely a much more intense environment to be Don in. But I mean, because you have Steve Banerjee who's sitting there in the courtroom, you're being asked questions that are basically going to tear down his business.
Mm.
And yeah, it's you start to feel the pressure for sure.
Well, I started Google searching Don last night also, and it said like at one point they were out to get him, they were out to kill him.
Yeah. Steve put out a hit on him at one point, and the Otis character had reached out to him and let him know, and it was he was fearful for his life at one point, just because once he got that message from another dancer that was actually at Chippendales, he knew it was legitimate, and so started looking over his shoulder, and that was when he was starting to really expedite the process of this lawsuit, because he knew that if it didn't start, they had a chance to kill him before it did.
I mentioned there's been like great reviews on the series and everything. What's been the feedback to you from like friends, family, or even just random fans of the show?
I've heard the response is fantastic. I mean, a lot of my friends have just been like, "Are you dancing on the show? You taking your shirt off, bro?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not that role." But the response has been amazing. I was talking to Quentin Player, who plays Otis, and he was saying that people are really loving the show, which makes me happy, man. Like I said earlier, I think the story behind Chippendales is so crazy. I think everyone should know it.
Which was your favorite moment in the series?
Ooh, favorite moment in the series. Let's see, probably I can't give it away. It's the end. The end of the end of it is just because, and I can't say favorite because I'm happy about it, but it's just the way this story wraps up and ends is so wild. It's it's almost like a relief of like, damn, everything went through all that just to get here.
Mm.
But yeah, when you guys watch episode 8, you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
What's your favorite moment working in the series? Would you say, is there like a specific day you're on set and you're like, it's still like to this day, it's like you were excited about?
The courtroom scenes. It
Yeah.
was just that same intense energy, having Kumail across from you, just the looks he was giving, and it was like you could really feel the tension in the air while we were filming those scenes. It was really fun and exciting. I love those moments on set when everything feels so real that you almost don't have to act. It's just everything is happening in that moment.
Do you find that easier to work with when it's like that?
1000%. It's like that's when you don't have to imagine anything. You don't have to endow certain circumstances. Everything is in front of you to just let go and live. And I think that's when the best things happen, is when everybody's able to come together and let go. All the prep work, all the control things that you want to do all go away, and everybody's just listening, responding, and feeling the energy between each other. That's when you get Emmy-winning shit right there.
That's awesome. So we have the last episode next week. Now, what's next for you now? Any other projects you're allowed to tell us about that you got coming up or working on?
Yeah. Like I said, I just shot Equalizer. That'll be coming out February 26th. I've had a crazy year, man. I mean, I'm incredibly blessed and grateful. Now that we're in December, I've looked back and I've been fortunate enough to work 10 out of 12 months this year. And so just looking back on the year that I had from doing NBA 2K as Ricky Bennett to ending the year at the Equalizer and everything in between, I'm super grateful.
I forgot about the basketball thing because I'm a basketball fan, and I actually bought I bought the game and everything. How is it with the voiceover? Do you enjoy doing that?
2K is an amazing thing. The fans of 2K are crazy. And it's also cool just because it's a lot of kids. And so a lot of kids kind of really see you as this character, and being Ricky, I'm your manager. I'm with you the entire game. I'm kind of guiding your career. And so the response from that has been amazing. I mean, I love when I'm out at my nephew's basketball games and their friends come up and they're like, "Hey, are you Ricky?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I am." And they're like, "Cool." And they run off. And it's like, it's just such a great feeling just to provide some joy to kids like that.
Would you ever want to do any other type of video game voices if you can?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a secret goal of mine. I guess I should publicize this, is Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. If I could be a character in Call of Duty, play with myself at home on the TV, like that would be so fun.
I've had guests on that voiced Call of Duty, and they love it. It's like they're saying like it's not even just like the voice; it's like everything, all the stuff they have on and the acting.
Full mocap, you got the dots. It's you're like this giant warehouse with a bunch of motion capture cameras, and I mean it's a cool experience, man. Once you get used to the suit and the dots and the head cam, it really is just like a big black box theater. Like you're just imagining and just playing with other actors all day. It's super fun.
Awesome. Patrick, lastly, now how can the listeners, the viewers, find you on social media, keep up with you with future projects, video games, anything you want to?
Yeah, Instagram is the best way for sure, at Patrick Cage. I'm also on Twitter, the Patrick Cage. YouTube.com, Patrick Cage. It's everything's the name. It's we just go by the name, baby. Yeah, keep up with me on Instagram. I will be letting everybody know what I have going on.
So yeah, Patrick, thank you for giving a few minutes today, man. This was great.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you for having me. For real.
Thank you. So